Hello and welcome to the Motoring News Zone, the show we take you for all the biggest stories in the world of cars right now. This week, a police bribery scandal has been uncovered after thousands had been stolen from innocent drivers incorrectly pulled over. NASCAR's antitrust lawsuit has got underway in court, but what would winning look like for 2311 and Front Row Motorsports? And the executive who was behind Jaguar's disastrous woke rebranding has been fired. Find out all about that and a whole lot more in today's show. If you're watching on YouTube, skip to the timestamps in the video description to watch the story that you're most interested in. So, without further delay, let's dive in. So we've covered police corruption and police misconduct on many occasions here on the channel, guys. People basically doing what they shouldn't. Officers basically going above and beyond the law and abusing their powers. And that also applies to this police officer in the state of California who has been pulling over drivers then stealing money from them. Yeah, daylight or nighttime robbery, doesn't matter what time of day it is, you can't go stealing money from people. And in one go, this guy actually took over $600 as well. So they've been raking it in, but thankfully now they've been caught. Here's the full story. A police officer in West Covina, California, allegedly turned his badge into a license to steal, swiping cash from drivers that he pulled over, including one man he fleeced for over $600. Officer Jose Garcia, 38 years of age, was hit with felony charges for what prosecutors are calling a profound betrayal of the badge, accusing the officer of treating routine traffic stops as similar to going to your local ATM and drawing out cash. Authorities say the shakedowns began all the way back in September 2024. In one brazen incident on September 21st, Garcia pulled over a driver, tossed the vehicle, and allegedly pocketed over $600 from one of the victim's wallets. He then arrested the man he had just robbed. And people say that the police are the real criminals out there. Well, in this case, they are. Garcia allegedly stopped another car and rummaged through a passenger's backpack, pocketing $100. Months later on November 23rd. He's also accused of stopping a third driver, searching his car and taking $300 directly from the center console on February 8th of this year. In the latter two cases, Garcia reportedly let the drivers go with a verbal warning. Oh, you only had a few $100s in your wallet, next time step it up, that's your real crime here. According to the city of West Covina, the West Covina Police Department was alerted to the potential misconduct on February 10th of this year. The department immediately placed Garcia on paid administrative leave, where he will remain until the proceedings are complete. I mean, he should have the money for it. He's pocketed $1,000 off of these people. Go without pay. You can afford it, man. LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman said on this case, quote, "When an officer turns routine traffic stops into opportunities for theft for their own benefit, it corrodes public trust and endangers the integrity of our justice system. We will use every legal tool at our disposal to ensure that this officer is held fully accountable for these alleged abuses of power, and we will not hesitate to hold any law enforcement officials responsible for any crimes committed in the course of their duties." End quote. Garcia, who resides in Long Beach, has been charged with one felony count each of misappropriation of public funds and grand theft by embezzlement and two misdemeanor counts of petty theft. He has been released from custody on a promise to appear in court. He is scheduled to be arraigned on January 28, 2026 at the West Covina courthouse. If convicted, the cop could trade his uniform for a prison jumpsuit for up to 4 years and an additional 1-year jail term on top of that too. So yeah, shocking, guys. It really, really is bad that, I mean, you know, the police are meant to be there to protect you, but clearly this guy was abusing his power in some of the worst ways possible. The only thing I'd really ask when it comes to this is, how did it take so long for him to be caught? If I was stopped by a police officer and they stole any amount of money from me, just went disappearing. This isn't a small amount of money. This isn't like, you know, quarters and dimes and stuff like this. This is hundreds of dollars, right? I'd miss that very quickly and I'd definitely report them. So maybe this guy was reported on before, but maybe it wasn't taken seriously. I don't know. But he's been caught now, thankfully. And yeah, hopefully he gets the book thrown at him. But we'll see what happens, guys, and I'll bring you any updates with this case if we find it here on the Motoring Chronicle. Have a great time, guys. See you very soon. If you get stopped by the police, check your wallet. They might be taking a little too much of an interest in that. So I made a video not too long ago, a few months ago, actually, thinking about it. I think it was the summer. Now it's very much winter. It's December. It's getting cold. Christmas time is on the way, though, of course. There is positives when it comes to that. But something I spoke about was how if Ford made a new version of the Maverick, right, a relatively compact pickup truck, it could do quite well. Now, small pickup trucks in America are actually quite a bit in demand, right? They could do very, very well right now, and indeed are doing very well right now. But why is this? This is not something that the so-called industry experts predicted. Why is this happening? Is this a trend that we're going to see continue? Let's have a look. What was once a normal size pickup truck nowadays would actually classify as a compact one. What nowadays is a regular size pickup truck would have been a monster truck back in the day. We've spoke at length here on the channel, guys, about why vehicles across the world are getting larger, and there are a number of different reasons for that, and American pickup trucks are not immune from this. In fact, they're some of the worst offenders. The size of these vehicles is absolutely gargantuan in some cases. There is no question about that whatsoever. You see one of those things in the road, you dive out of the way of it because it's going through you or over you. You are not stopping it, no doubt whatsoever. But in all seriousness, they're getting a lot bigger. And that, for a lot of people, is a good thing. You know, some people do like that they're massive. They have more capacity for cargo. They have more capacity for passengers. They have more power. For some people, that's a good thing. But for a lot of people who are not using it for work purposes, just using it to get around, that's not really necessary. And while they might not mind that in a literal sense, when in a financial sense they very much will, it's not uncommon for a lot of new pickup trucks in the US, depending on how big you make it, how many of the bells and whistles you put on there, how that can balloon easily to a six-figure car, to a car over $100,000. And that's something that a lot of people are either not interested in or just plain can't afford. Simple as that. So the smaller pickup trucks, the compact pickup trucks, that's where they come in. And let's just have a look at that Ford Maverick we were mentioning before as well. This is a compact truck that launched in 2021, and it's got a very loyal following. And even the XL model, the biggest of the lot, which is not that big compared to most pickup trucks, that retails for around $29,000, which is significantly less than what the average price of a new vehicle right now is in the US, which is around $50,000 or so. So it's a relatively cheap option. It packs a good amount of punch. It has capacity to be able to haul around 1.5 tons of materials in the back, and it can also tow around 4 tons as well. Those, of course, in Imperial because America. And it also delivers around 42 miles per gallon as well, so it's not really costing you much at the pump either. Now, the Maverick is popular with a lot of people, but compared to the stats for most pickup truck buyers, women are more likely to buy it than bigger ones, younger motorists as well, again, ones that have less disposable income to be able to pay for a car in the first place. And even people in cities, again, it's not really what you expect from a pickup truck, but people who are in big cities, they actually quite like it too. Now, whether this was something that Ford did deliberately, I believe it was, to be honest, but whether it's something they deliberately or not, it is a market they have carved out for themselves. And there's other ones as well. It's not just Ford, of course, Hyundai as well. They have the Santa Cruz, which is a SUV kind of pickup truck hybrid, really, that debuted in 2021 as well, and that's doing quite well too. And that's even before we talk about the Slate pickup truck, we've covered quite a few times on here, guys, but that is a really, really popular one too right now. There's a lot of good noises coming out about that. So there you go, guys. Bigger is not always better, at least when it comes to pickup trucks. The smaller ones are doing pretty well for themselves. Like I always say, guys, it's not always about how much you've got, it's what you do with it. And I can't say I'm straight faced. And those smaller pickup trucks very much are giving you just as much bang for your buck, if not even more, than a larger one. But let me know what you think about this in the comments below, guys. Is this a surprise? Do you own one of these compact pickup trucks like the Santa Cruz or the Maverick? I want to hear what you have to say as always. So we've spoken a lot about the antitrust antitrust lawsuit going on right now between NASCAR and two of its teams, 23XI Racing and Front Row Motorsports. This is very much the story of the off-season right now in NASCAR, and it's going to rumble on for quite some time. As I record this on December 1st, this lawsuit is now getting underway in court. In fact, at the time I'm recording this, it's probably just started. It's got a long way still to go though in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're going to have a lot of things come out in the press when it comes to news and updates on this, and I'll bring you any kind of major updates here on the channel as always, guys. You know how we do here. But what is actually going to happen here? I'm just going to talk about what happens if the two teams that are suing NASCAR are successful here. What if 23XI and FRM are successful? What actually changes? Now, I've seen this floated around in the comment sections on our videos quite a bit, of a lot of people saying that, well, nothing's really going to change. It's just going to fatten the pockets of the likes of Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan. That's all it's going to do. NASCAR is not going to be a better sport because of it. It's got bigger problems than it needs to deal with, and I'm a bit sympathetic to that point of view. I understand where that's coming from. There's definitely bigger problems right now in NASCAR than this lawsuit for sure, but this is still significant and it's still worth talking about. So what happens if these two teams are successful when it comes to NASCAR's lawsuit here? Let's have a look. So in the most literal sense, when it comes to determining this, if they are successful, 23XI and FR, the jury on this case will determine any kind of monetary damages, i.e. how much is going to be paid out to them in this lawsuit. But based upon that, the judge may decide to increase that amount. How much that amount will be, again, it totally depends on how the case goes. Usually when they sue for X amount, they usually get a smaller amount of that. But given the numbers that are being thrown around in this case, that is still going to be a significant amount of money. Except maybe not to Michael Jordan, of course, who said that he's lost more in a casino in a single night, which, if that's true, my man might have a bit of a gambling problem, but hey, he can afford it. He's the richest athlete, past or present, in the world. The man's literally a billionaire, so I believe him, to be honest. I think he's probably telling the truth there. Now, in terms of paying that amount, NASCAR will have to pay that, maybe not only in terms of monetary amounts, but also in assets. Now, NASCAR has a lot of assets, and their biggest assets are probably the circuits. They actually own most of the tracks that NASCAR races around. So NASCAR might be ordered to pay that, and something they could use to pay it would be some of the tracks, which on the surface of it, you might hear that and think, oh, how can they sell the tracks to the teams? Well, I don't think they'd be allowed to do that. Can you imagine if NASCAR went to, I don't know, Charlotte? Let's just say that they'd have to sell something like Charlotte to be able to get the money for this. They wouldn't be able to sell it to 23XI because could you imagine the conflict of interest that would arise if they end up selling the tracks to a team? I don't think that would go through. Someone else would obviously have to buy them, another different investor, and that would have to take place over a certain period of time. That would take a long time to kind of iron out and everything, but given the fact that this has taken almost a year, over a year in fact, to get to court in the first place, you know, time is something that they very much do have. These things do take time. In terms of the sporting changes for NASCAR itself, the charter system could be abolished entirely. I mean, that's what this is all about at the end of the day. That would probably be the biggest change, really. Even things like the next-gen concept car and stuff like that's being talked about, and no exclusivity clauses as well. The judge has a lot of power if 23XI and FRM are successful here to be able to deal some pretty big blows to NASCAR. And that's why a lot of people are saying, well, what's NASCAR going to look like? Is it actually going to be better for this? And when you think about the damage that could be done to the sport itself, it could really cease to exist in the form it currently is, which some people might think, yeah, that's great, we want NASCAR to change, but maybe not like this. We don't want it to be in a financially unhealthy position. In terms of something that might not be ordered, what would probably happen, I think the executives at NASCAR would probably resign from their positions. I mean, they're already in a lot of trouble. I've already spoken about this. I mean, of course, the Richard Childress messages have come out, you know, where they basically call him a redneck and an idiot and stupid. All things that are a pretty bad look for the NASCAR board. If they lose this case, I think they may well have to resign. They will have lost not only in a literal court of law, but also in the court of public opinion as well. I don't think there'd be much sympathy for them remaining. Indeed, I don't think there's much sympathy anyway, but whatever little there would be gone at that point. But even if FRM and 23XI win this case, it can be appealed. It could be appealed and go all the way to the Supreme Court in theory, right? And anybody who knows anything about lawsuits in America knows how long these things can take. NASCAR will not take this lying down. NASCAR obviously is not as flush for cash as it used to be, but it very much does have enough money to defend itself to the very end if it wants to do that. Of course, the losses and the damages for that would be greater, but they are, of course, able to do that if they wish. They are able to make it as difficult as possible. So it could go all the way to the Supreme Court, it could go all the way to the Court of Appeals, it could go really, really far. So this could rumble on for years. This could take 2-3 years at least to sort out. So I'm not expecting anything too significant to happen, at least in the immediate term, but in the longer term, we'll obviously get a verdict, but even then, it's not a final verdict. These things can be appealed to death. That is justice. Thinking cynically, that is what justice is to a lot of people. But get your thoughts in the comments below on this one, guys. I want to hear what you have to say. Something we covered quite a while ago here on the channel was key cars, guys, and why in some states in America they are illegal. There's a long story behind that, don't worry, we'll touch on it in this video, but President Donald Trump has seemingly given the green light for these to be brought to the USA at a federal level, so you'll be able to drive them around no matter what over in the good old US of A. But what has been behind this change? Why are these vehicles in some cases illegal in the US, and when will this change come into effect? Let's have a look at the full story here, guys, as always. During his Wednesday announcement regarding shifting fuel economy regulations, President Donald Trump dropped a surprise victory for car enthusiasts while outlining how his new plans will improve the affordability of new cars in America, something we covered the other day, of course, guys. That has been now confirmed. Trump announced that he has tasked US Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy with clearing the regulatory deck to allow small cars of the sort sold in Asia, such as Japan's famous kei cars, to become available in the United States. While the main objective of Trump's announcement centered on revoking yet another Biden-era policy, that's not like him at all, is it now? The key car tangent seems to come out of absolutely nowhere, but Japanophiles are very happy with this announcement. There's been a lot of roadblocks to them getting those cars imported over from Japan. And this came as a surprise to everybody, including Secretary Duffy, who looked rather surprised during the briefing in the White House. Clearly, Trump didn't brief him beforehand. But he didn't go against it, which, I mean, why would he? That'd be pretty bad luck if he did. Trump explained how he saw these small cars during his recent trip to Asia, which he described as both cute and beautiful, but was told they could not be sold in the US due to regulations, and Trump took that personally. And Trump also touted how smaller cars are more efficient thanks to their smaller engines, and specifically named brands such as Honda and Toyota as potential sources for these machines. So you're probably wondering, what are kei cars? A lot of people are aware of them. We've spoke about them before on the channel, but here's a quick rundown of what they are. You've probably seen them, but didn't know they were called kei cars. At least that was the case for me before that story broke not too long ago. They're effectively a type of vehicle that are very popular in Japan, and they are built to strict dimensional standards and must feature an engine no larger than 660cc. A tiny engine that wouldn't be out of place in some motorcycles. The form factor can range from pickup trucks to mid-engine sports cars and everything in between, and they're absolutely tiny, hence the small engines, with many of them being smaller than most regular real cars in the US, even smaller than a lot of cars here in Europe. But this is not enshrined into law yet. It's not 100% confirmed, but given the fact that Trump has said it, he's going to keep his promises. And politicians always keep their promises, don't they? Right? Well, we'll see what happens, guys. But any updates will bring you here. But sounds like Sean Duffy has a bit of work to do to try and figure out the nitty-gritty of the regulations here. But if Trump wants it, he will probably get it. We'll see what happens, guys. Are you happy about this? Let us know in the comments below. Essentially, the reason why these are banned in the US in some places is due to safety standards. They don't have the same kind of safety standards over in Japan, surprisingly, compared to the US. You'd think that Japan would be more strict when it comes to this, but no, it actually turns out the US is. but they're going to have to change the safety standards or allow a kind of loophole for them to be legal in all states. They are not illegal in all states, but there are quite a few states where they are illegal. But yeah, hope that explained it, guys. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. It's been over a year now since Jaguar completed their rather controversial rebranding. The rebranding that has generally been labelled as them going woke, and it's easy to see why with some of the imagery that they've been putting out since then. Jaguar have been a little quiet since then, though. They had their controversial 00 design, which was revealed in Miami, Florida last year as well. Of course, next year they're going to launch this monstrosity, and it does kind of remind me a little bit of like when Homer Simpson found his long-lost brother, who I think was voiced by Danny DeVito. Do correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but he found his long-lost brother. Turns out he was a big executive at a Detroit motor company. And yeah, he designed a car, did Homer, and it was a massive disaster. This Jaguar does seem like it's going to be that. And in that kind of vein of thinking, the person who was behind this terrible idea, has now been escorted from the office. Something tells me he's not going to be returning. And it does kind of make you think, why has it taken this long? Let's have a look at the full story here, guys. According to reports, the designer who was behind Jaguar's woke rebrand has now been dismissed from the car maker's office. This has been just days after a new CEO has taken over at the company. Jerry McGovern, who was formerly Jaguar Land Rover's chief creative officer, was told that he was being dismissed with immediate effect on Monday. He was then escorted out of the office, according to reports, although whether he was doing so with a cardboard box in hand is yet to be confirmed. The turmoil comes just days after PB Balaji, the former finance boss of Tata Motors, succeeded Adrian Mardell as chief executive of JLR. It brings an abrupt end to Mr. McGovern's 21-year career at the car maker, where he masterminded a revamp of Land Rover's Defender model and the company's lineup of Range Rovers. Again, just for anybody who's not 100% aware about this, Jaguar and Land Rover are the same company, and they are both owned by Tata. He was also the main creative force behind last year's radical rebrand of Jaguar that aimed to shift the marque away from its traditional Jagman image towards ultra-wealthy customers. Although, do ultra-wealthy customers dress like this? I don't think so, to be honest. The Type 00 concept for the car maker's first electric model, which was unveiled at an international arts show in Miami, Florida last year. It invited unflattering comparison to the Fab 1 car driven by Lady Penelope in the Thunderbirds show. And also Barbie's screaming pink convertible. I think, to be honest with you, that's an insult to both of those two fictional designs right there. This is painfully real, though, unfortunately, for Jaguar. And of course, we've got to talk about the advert, which featured a cast of androgynous-looking models, but no actual cars. And he was also widely criticised for being too woke, with both Nigel Farage and Donald Trump, that terrible twosome right there, among those who attacked the campaign. In fairness, I also attacked it as well, so, I mean, that's something I've got in common with those two. I don't have much else in common, really. At least I hope so, anyway. The backlash was dismissed as vile hatred and intolerance at the time by Rawdon Glover, the managing director of the Jaguar brand, saying, quote, "We need to re-establish our brand at a completely different price point, so we need to act differently," end quote. I don't know, that don't seem like the way to do it though, really, does it? Mr. Mardell subsequently announced his retirement from the company. That ain't my problem anymore, that's your problem. That's a problem for the next generation of executives. JLR have insisted throughout that Mr. Mardell's retirement was unlinked to the rebrand, although, really? Come on, was it? But yeah, let's not get away from the fact that Jaguar were struggling, are struggling, and probably will continue to struggle because of this as well. I understand why they want to do something different, but that ain't it, Chief. The traditional Jagman, there may be less of them out there these days, but at the end of the day, those are their core customers. Who are going to be their core customers now? Millionaire art students? Are those a thing? No, they're not really. There's probably one or two of them out there, maybe if they've got rich parents, but yeah, I don't think people are going to like this when it comes out. I think it's going to be a disaster, because it's so damn expensive. It's a six-figure car. I don't think they revealed the actual price of it yet, but everybody's saying this is going to be a six-figure car. So it's going to be a really expensive motor. And it's an EV as well, which again, that puts off a lot of people, unfortunately. So the axe has finally swung for McGovern after his absolutely disastrous rebrand of Jaguar. But can they recover this? They are so far down this yellow brick road right now. I don't think they're getting out of Oz anytime soon. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Can Jaguar save themselves, or are they doomed? I want to hear what you have to say, as always. Like, share, comment, subscribe, guys. Have a fantastic day wherever you are in the world today, and we'll see you very soon.